Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's market analysis class, Monday, the 11th of September. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. All right, let's have a look at our calendar, what's coming up this week. In terms of news, a brief recap from last week. Well, basically, last week was really just all about the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar. We had three central banks make monetary policy statements or rate decisions, and Canada, of course, was one of those three, and they actually surprised the market by increasing their rates again back to back in back-to-back meetings by another 25 basis points. So as a consequence, Canadian dollar is soaring. It has been for a bit, and it just continued with more momentum and more strength. So we pretty much highlighted that last week, and it was something to look out for, and it did not disappoint. So from that front, it was actually quite good. So if anybody was able to take advantage of that, well done. That was pretty much the flavour of last week. Towards the end of last week, we also had a lot of US weakness, US dollar weakness. Mainly that weakness is coming from a little bit of political and environmental issues. The main ones right now are the two hurricanes that are heading, well, I believe they hit yesterday, or they're there right now. I can't remember the time frame, but basically it's going to do a lot of damage in terms of financial sort of rebuild and construction and things of that nature, and it's put a real dampener on the US dollar. So the US dollar is basically given ground to all the other majors. On top of that, the US dollar all of a sudden, there's the talk of more interest rate increases or hikes is just not happening, and the market's basically kind of giving up on those positions and closing out positions, closing out dollar trades, which basically means moving out, selling off, and the weakness is coming towards the market. So that's pretty much what's been happening. In terms of this week, of what we have and major news that may impact the market, we have, let me just go through them now. We'll start off with the US dollar, and there's quite a lot of data from the US this week. We have PPI Wednesday and crude oil. Thursday we have CPI, unemployment claims, and retail sales for Friday. So a lot of data there on the US front. The next major one is in the UK from the pound. We have CPI, average earnings, and of course a major one is this week in the UK we will hear their monetary policy statement and their official bank rate. Now nobody is really expecting an interest change in the UK. The UK is actually one of those nations that sort of has been quite happy at this level. They have hinted at it a couple of times, but I think the most important thing that we're looking for here is what is said in the statement and that official bank rate vote. The last vote, I believe we had 6-2. So if it gets to like a split decision kind of thing, it's a very strong indicator that there's a momentum change. So and that could itself give a lot of strength to the British pound. Okay, so there you have it. That's from the UK. Close to home, Aussie, we have employment change and unemployment numbers on Thursday, and that's pretty much the crust of it for the Aussie dollar. There is the in China industrial production number also on Thursday, which can affect the Aussie dollar as well. Now, I guess because of the data type that is due this week and what we have, the currency that will be most impacted from it, the currency pair will be the GBP USD. Okay, so any GBP USD traders now would be on the lookout when we have a look at our charts. We did hit a really nice channel I think we picked up a really nice trade off that. I think it was towards last week. And it just keeps on consolidating. So just keep an eye out on this one. As always, guys, just remember that all these times that I'm showing you, they're in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time, Sydney. Okay, so there you have it. That's what's happening. Let me bring my charts forward. We'll analyze the markets. There's not much happening this week in terms of the charts. So what I want to do is I will get through this rather quickly, and then I just want to take a little bit of time and talk to you a little bit about trend trading, specifically the method that I've been doing via the daily call. Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen it, you can get an opportunity to see it now. Alright, so here we go. Aussie dollar. On Friday we did peak at about, what did we get up to? 81.20 odd. Okay, so we set further highs and it got shot down very, very quickly. Now, when I look at this chart right now, a couple of things that we want to see. Yes, we are in trend. Okay, now this pullback was quite deep though. Normally trend will be more like this. This pullback is quite deep, and this level, when you get a spike like that, can generally mean there's a lot of people just that have traded in a downward a lot of people who are short in the market, and essentially what they're really doing is if they're short, they've got all their stops in this area over here, so sometimes the market can just push in there. As soon as their stops trigger, it can just cause a quick wave in and wave back out as the smart money basically jumps back in and tries to drive it back down in this direction. So that spike there, I tend to not give it too much attention. My eye sees this almost like a double top, but it's still there, but it just tells me that there's a lot of intelligent or professional money on this pair taking advantages of these situations. Okay, so I'm not seeing this as trend anymore. I'm kind of seeing this could this now be ready to go down. Now the second factor that is giving me this opinion is when I look at my awesome oscillator indicator down low, if I was to get like a red one, a red line next, and let's say a couple more this way, all of a sudden I would see that my indicator is pointing in the downward direction. But when I look up top, let me just get rid of some lines so that we don't get confused. When I look up top, this is kind of pointing slightly in the upward direction. This is what we call divergence, okay, where my indicator is totally going in the other direction of the charts, and generally a correction happens, and the correction here would be that the market would shoot down into this section down there. Now, just purely based off that, that's not enough for me to take a trade on it, but I'm just explaining some of the principles and some of the things that I would be keen to see happen. So for example, knowing that there's possibly divergence, it's not confirmed yet. I need to wait for one more of these, but it's not confirmed. However, let's just say, let me zoom in a little bit. If tomorrow morning when we wake up, there was a candle that this current candle looked like this, a red one as such, okay? Now, altogether, this would be a 3 candle sequence of a reversal pattern, and then at the open there, then yes, I would be happy to take a short. Now I'm kind of taking it as kind of like a resistance level, but also the divergence factor. Does that make sense to everybody? If there's anybody newer in the class, this will be really way over your head. I apologize, just hang with me. Some of the ones that have been with me for a longer time will still not quite understand it so much, but I'm just highlighting some things in the market. The charts are not giving me simple things today, so I'm going in a little bit deeper just to see if I can give you a better indicator of where we are right now. Okay, so that's my Aussie dollar. position at the moment. Right now I can't do nothing, so I'm happy to wait for the current candle to finish. If I get the 3 candle reversal pattern that I'm looking for with divergence, then I'm happy to take a short tomorrow morning. Alright, let's move on. Let's have a look at the Euro USD. Okay, this is what trend looks like. You can see it's typical. See, they're shallow. It just keeps moving up. Okay, very, very uniform, very nice trend, and it's also a classic example of, you keep jumping on these trades until basically the trend ends. Okay, and when does it end? Well, if it was going to end right now where we are, I would take this a significant level. I would want to cross that level before saying, okay, it is over right now. Okay, so, but until then, you just keep staying on it and keep looking for those buying opportunities on every dip that we basically get. So wherever those fractals are, and I'll talk about this once I finish analyzing the market. At this point right now, Euro USD, there is nothing that we can look for other than wait for it to come in, give me the price action that I need, and then basically keep shooting in this direction. If it's not that, then there's nothing else that is available for me. Alright, so there you have it, Euro USD. Let's move to the British pound. Okay, British pound, we spotted this, channel a little while back. We had a body engulfing set up over there. Some of you took it, some of you did not, and basically look what's happened as a result. Really, really nice trade. We are coming up to what could possibly be a double top, okay, here. So you'll have to keep a sharp alert. If it does turn out to be a double top, it's actually a classic because it's basically straight down V, straight back up. So if what we're going to look for is any kind of reversal pattern there to see if we can take a trade in this direction. Okay, if it does not hold and it continues to go forward, well then what we're going to do then is basically look for the trade a little bit higher, which will be up at that line over there. Alright, either way, I'm looking for a short either there or about there as a double top. Okay, so let me just draw that in so that we understand what I'm talking about. Other than that, I cannot do nothing on this one right now until I reach those levels. So there you have it. That's my GBP USD, and this is the hot one for the week. This is the one that's probably most likely to move to be more volatile than the others. US yen. Okay, I would say that US yen is in trend down. Probably from here we can see it's, so what I'm looking for is possibly a pullback into this area here, and then look for the price action setup and look to short and continue in this direction. There is nothing else that is available on this chart. There's no patterns. We've gone through some key levels already. So with this one, it's just a matter of wait for the pullback and let's see if we can get another opportunity to ride it further down. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, please just type them in as we go along. Doesn't matter if they're off topic. I'll incorporate it into whatever I'm talking about, trying to highlight it for you. Euro yen. Let me just have a quick look further out. This looks like a chart that is running out of puff. Okay, this to me looks like a chart that is now ready to, it's consolidating. So meaning we might do a little bit of this in here before it shoots this way or it shoots in that direction. So, and right now we're kind of in the middle of that range. So I really want to wait till I get to the fringes. If I go to the fringes like here or here and I get some kind of price action pattern at that level, then I'm happy to take the trades in and range trade it. while the opportunity is there. Okay, so definitely it feels like it's consolidating now. It feels like it's run out of power. Sometimes it kind of takes a pause and then continues further, but until it does that, we have to change our mode on this one, and we're looking for possibly range trade types on the euro yen. All right, let's move along. Kiwi dollar. Okay, Kiwi dollar, we had a head and shoulders trade. Let me just draw the neckline again. I think the neckline was there somewhere. So for those who don't know, didn't see it, so this was the shoulder, that was the head, that was the other shoulder, and basically the way that you trade it, when you break the neckline, you're in. I think the first trigger was over here somewhere. The stop was there. If you've still got your original stop there, this whiplash from Friday, it didn't. It would have come close. The trade did go down. Typically, this is kind of like the target level that you would expect to get out of this if it plays out. Of course, it doesn't. All head and shoulder patterns do not play out, but this was a very classic pattern. So I believe we're still in that. Are you guys still in this trade? Is anybody still in this trade? Okay, just going to show of hands who is currently still in this trade. No one? Okay. Okay. A couple of people took profit on it already on different time frames. All right, not to worry. I mean, it was a good setup, so it did move towards in the right direction. Friday's whiplash caused havoc. Okay, so if I look at this right now, I'm just trying to see what the next trade is. I think I would be looking for trend type trade. So, oh, this one's already come. This candle here cannot be an inside candle because it's already gone lower than that one over there. What I was going to look for is something there to shoot this way. Alright, so let's see what this candle looks like tomorrow, and let's see if we have something off this one here. Okay, but right now there's nothing there at all. Alright, let's move it. US CAD. Okay, the US CAD. Alright, this chart is screaming to me. This chart is screaming divergence. Okay, it's a little bit early on it, but if anybody likes divergence trading, you look at this low compared to this low, it's pointing like that. And you look at this one and that one, it's pointing in the other direction, which basically means this is what we would expect to happen from it. Okay, so there's no candle pattern, there's nothing at all. If this trend was to continue, okay, if this trend was to continue, I would naturally be expecting it to come back, look for my setup, and then hit it again. So when you trade your divergence, you kind of trading this little journey back up the hill. Okay, so I'm going to take this trade right now. This is something different. I have not done this type of trade before with you guys, but let's just do it as an experimental. Let me just try and get a couple of levels. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to put my stop about 15 pips below this this candle here. And I'm going to jump in live right now at market. And I'll just risk 100 on this one, so just a smaller trade. So let me just give me 1 second. Let me organize all that. Where's my experts? Okay, my stop is going to be from where we are right now, about 90. So here I go. I'm going to buy. Fixed cash risk. Let's make it 100. Stop is 90. I said, so put in 90. And let me just go in at, I'll just go 180 and then I'll make an adjustment if I feel like it. Are we ready? I'm going in live at market. Okay, let me get rid of that. The trade is 0.1. Okay, I'm happy with the way it looks. What I'll probably do is I'll probably put my MT4 Supreme to move my stop to break even if I get to the 1-to-1 level. Okay, so I've entered here. That's the full target. That's 2-to-1. And this line here is 1-to-1. Okay, and obviously this is my stop. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? The reason I've taken this is a very strong divergence trade at a key level. No, sorry, not at a key level. Just it just feels. I don't know. I've just seen this pattern many times. So at the very least, it gives you an opportunity to watch a trade and just see how it develops out. Okay. All right. That's US CAD. Let's move along. Gold. Okay, gold. We broke those double tops and we kicked on, and it's still kicking on. It feels like it's in trend. I guess we've got to look for something there to continue with our trend. So that's the only thing we can do. Question or comment, although divergence is not nearly confirmed until the swing is over. If you, okay, Hubert, if you wait for the line to come back to the zero line, it's way too late. You will never be able to trade divergence if you do it that way. Okay, so if we wait for this one to come back like that, okay, by the time it gets back there, this may be up here somewhere. Okay, so it won't work. So divergence is a little bit of leap of faith. All right, so what you can do is you can wait for a color change. So if you're concerned about it, you could wait for this one tomorrow. If this one changes to blue, that could be enough confirmation. If that does change to blue, I can assure you that we'll be already about there somewhere within that candle. Alright, so it is a bit of a leap of faith. That's why if you get divergence occurring on a support line or something like that that we know already, that's an extra feel good factor, and it increases the probability as well. Alright, so I know this is something different. It's something that I've not done for a long time with you guys, but there you have it. Okay, alright, so gold, back to gold. Gold, we're in trend. We just got to wait for a pullback before we can continue along with it. Finally, WTI. Okay, who took this trade? Did anybody take it? We did call it out last week. We said, let's wait till we get to the other side, and if we get the pattern that we want, well, there it is. Inside candle happened, and then it hit target. Full trade. Okay, did anybody take this WTI trade? Oil. I highlighted it this morning in the daily call as well while I was looking through charts. So essentially now we got to wait. We got to wait till we get to the other side again. So we got to wait till we get to here before we can get maybe one more opportunity, as long as there's enough room to hit our targets. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Quick. There's a question. Can I have a little bit of a look at the ASX 200? Yeah, sure. I'll do that right now. As soon as I find it. Oh, we've been talking about this chart, mentioning it last week. It's just ripe for range trading. All you can really do is try and trade off these levels here. Trade the noise. This is a chart that, unless if you're a range type trader, this is the kind of chart that you absolutely love. I have not seen a chart like an ASX chart like that for a long time, actually. That's just so noisy, up and down, up and down, up and down. This is one that we're not in trend, we can't get any patterns out of, so the only thing that you can really do is basically set yourself a level down here somewhere, set yourself another one down there, and basically hit range trades. You might have to drop down in time frame, maybe like a 4 hour, even a 1 hour, because if you're going off the daily candle, you can see the candles that they're moving on their own way past the other side, so you'll have to drop down a time frame to get that. Okay, other than that, there's nothing else to really say on the ASX 200. It's just very, very messy. Okay, I finished early, so I want to just talk a little bit about trend trading. I'll have a look at, let's look at the Euro USD. And let me zoom in a little bit. Let me get rid of this. And okay, first of all, let's look at it from here. This is the entire chart. One way that we have defined in the past what trend is I have these two moving averages on my charts. Okay, and you can see that at this point here, excuse me, they've crossed over. Okay, and since that point, they have not crossed over again. So basically, they're still separated all the way through. Okay, and they've been separated all the way now for like 1,300 pips. All right. Now the two moving averages that I use here are, what are they? I think it's a 24 and a 12. It's a 24 and a 12, and they're exponentials from memory. Yes, they are. Okay, so I'm using a 24 and a 12. It doesn't really matter which ones you use, as long as it's whatever you feel comfortable with. But it's just a simple way for me to define that I'm in an uptrend, or it's highly likely I'm in an uptrend or downtrend. Okay, I guess from the moment we took out this high, so we crossed there, we've broken it out, come back, and we see that we've kind of bounced off that level from about there. We can basically is about as early as we can say, yeah, look, I think we're in trend. So the way that we're going to work this, if we're trying to take advantage of the trend, so let me just draw over here what I think something like that is, say we're in an uptrend as such. We are going to try and attempt to take trades in this area here. Okay, so we're looking for the dips. Now, and the way that I've always told you to try and look for it, where to look for it, is look for the candles that have the fractal. So in this sequence, we can see there's a fractal there, there's a fractal there, fractals, all these ones with fractals. These are the areas, the easiest areas where you're going to basically look for something to be occurring so that we can try and take advantage of it. Okay, so if let me just put my trend here, and what I'm looking for in this section here is something, I'm looking for a three or two candle formation. Something like, I'll try and draw it in color. So, alright, give me 1 second. So typically what might happen is in there, you might get a red candle, okay, followed by maybe a little green candle like that, which would be an inside candle. So essentially, the market comes in there, it produces these two candles, okay. This is an inside candle because the green candle is completely inside the red candle. And the way that you trade it is when the next candle starts, we put a pending order at the break of the high of the little green one, okay? And if we break that, then basically now we are in the trade in this direction. So this entire little section, this section here that I've drawn, we want that to occur in these sections, in the dips. Does everybody understand what I've said? Yep. A comment, someone's made a comment that they prefer to use a longer moving average, like a like a 120 or a 140 or something like that. Yeah, that's fine as well. Okay. Yeah, the bigger it is though, you're going to catch a trend much later. All right, that's the only downside. So depending on how aggressive you are, you just find the happy medium for yourself. Okay, all right. So we can clearly see then. Let me just rub some of these things out. So if we're looking for basically this type of setup, let's look for that everywhere that there is a dip. All right, so let's rub that out and let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so and let's see how often it occurs. It does happen. Okay, so I'm going to start looking from here. Okay, there's one over here. There, we see the red one, and the green one's inside it. I'm just looking for that one pattern right now. Okay, so that's the only one I can see. Let me move my chart along, see if I can see any others. There's another one over here that I just saw. And that's it. Okay, so in this entire trend section, I've only seen two examples of those setups. Now, when they occurred, they're both winning trades. Okay, so that's type 1. This is the easiest one for you. Okay, the other kind that you can look for is what we call the engulfing candle. And let me show you what that one looks like. This one's a little bit different. So this one will look like, give me 1 second. Let me get my colors up. This time it'll look as follows. So you might get your red one. It can have a wick on it if you want it to. It doesn't really matter. And then your next candle will be look like something like this. This I must have used a different green. This one doesn't look. You can't see it as well. Okay, where the second candle, this one here, the second candle is completely engulfing the first candle. Okay, and the way that you trade this one is as soon as this candle finishes at the open of the next candle, straight away you take your trade straight away. Okay, and essentially what we're looking for is you're in trend, so it could be in trend, the market pulls back a little bit, it provides this setup that we're looking for, and then continues in this direction. So when I'm drawing my charts, during our analysis class and I say things like, oh look, I'm just waiting for, we're over here, I want the chart to come down to this line, give me something and then shoot off, that circle, this is what I'm looking for inside that circle. I could be looking for the inside candle or the engulfing candle. These are the two most common ones. Alright, does everybody understand that? Because sometimes I get asked questions, or sometimes people just take the trade just in that area. Taking that trade in that area on its own doesn't give us enough. Our probability is not as high as I would like it to be, so the results can be significantly less. Okay, let me see if I can, how many we can spot in the same piece of chart. Let me just look. I'll zoom in a bit so we can see more. Okay, here's one over here. That second one is engulfing the first one. Here is another one. Oh. Here is another one. Here is another one. Okay, so we found 4 examples in this part. Okay, and we found 2 of the other types. So that's 6 examples altogether so far. So if you have a look at some people, like you could just stay on this trade one time and just ride it for as long as you can. It takes a lot of willpower from you. You might not, you might jump out, but even just trading the method that I'm showing you right now, it's enabled us to take 6 trades at different points, okay? And if they were all say 2-to-1 type trades, essentially what it would look like is, you took a trade from here to there, then you took a trade from here to there, you took another one from here to there, you took one from here to there, you took one from here to there. So that's 4 like that, there, and there. When you add them all up, you'll find that you've almost caught like one long trade like that. And on top of that, because you're closing your trades out, you're removing, you're collecting, you're cashing out. Okay, so it's a very, very effective method to trade the trend. Now, the key to it is, just because it keeps coming up, don't be scared to not take it. When you get stopped out and the trend ends, well then that's the time that you stop. Does that make sense, guys? Yes? Great. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Now, there are other candle formations that I can look for. What I suggest is just stick to these 2 originally. If you want to look for others, the other one, I'll show you one more. The other one that I think is really, really good is the body engulfing. Sometimes you might get a candle like this, as an example, and then your next candle might look like, it kind of looks a bit strange. You'll get the fractal over here, but what we're looking for in this example is the body of number 2 is bigger than the body of number 1. So you can see here that body there is bigger than number 1. Okay, and the way that you trade this one is, at the open of the next candle straight away, you shoot it up. So again, the market goes up, pulls back, it's in trend, produces this candle pattern, and then we shoot off and continue. Okay, let me show you what something like that looks like, because when you first see it, you may not recognize it so easily. Let me see if I can find one for us. There's a couple, but they're completely engulfing. I'm looking for the really weird one. Okay, and there's none in this section here. Okay, but it does happen, it does come up, and sometimes when you're looking to get a trade off because you know you're in the right spot, you need to look at the different options that are available to you. If you want to review this, go and have a look at the videos on trend trading with price action. I cover other patterns in there, um, but they're very, very handy. The main point that I just want to make is whilst you're on the trend, because I've been talking about this one, like obviously I didn't know how long the trend was going to go on for, but remember we were talking long time ago, it feels like now, about this gap in the market. The gap is still there. It has not closed. Okay, it's 150 odd pip gap in the market, and basically it gapped up, broke the high, and then just hit trend. That's it. So, and all the way through the trading challenge, we were just trying to take trades. If they showed themselves up, we kept on taking them. Okay, so we never know how long the trend's going to last for. So just trade what you see is what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys, I think that wraps it up for us for today. I just try to show you a couple of things differently. If anybody has any requests, just email me, and then I'll try and cover something every week. Just keep it a bit more informed, a bit more entertaining, I guess. And I'm trying to take trades. The market's just not showing me anything right now. We did take one right now. We took a divergence trade on the US CAD. All right, so I got in at 121.39. Okay, so there's that trade there showing right now. All right, guys, I hope you all have a great week. For those of you who listen to the daily call, I will talk to you tomorrow as usual. Have a fantastic week. If you have any questions, feel free to get in contact with us. Otherwise, I'll speak to you next week. Bye for now.